just coming in, just be like on the bars, like having the helmet on, the goggles. You see so much different when you're riding, but then when you come up here, you can see so much more what's going on.
Right, and especially when you got TV coverage and you get a nice drone flying high above, you can see how those lines are developing and how the races are developing as well. Madison Casimir taking the Stasic Hole Shot Award Megawatt, the girls 11 to 16 aboard the number 10 Husqvarna from Broad Brook, Connecticut. She is brought to us by JMC Motorsports, Lynx Racing, Club 57, Factory Connection, Dunlop, 60 helmets, Fox, and 100%.
Here we are on the opening lap, Rodney. As we said, Madison Casimir with that hole shot. Got a red cross flag down there in the long short chute. One rider down. Riders now coming out of Storyland back toward the waterworks. Looks like we already have a battle starting to develop, Rodney, starting to shape up out front.
Wouldn't expect anything less, Megawatt. Oh, they're side by side.
And I believe we have a pass made for the lead, the Husqvarna.
Yeah.
Husqvarna, oh, now an answer back. So here we go. The KTM now coming around the outside. Don't have an ID just yet. As they move around the pond, we'll be able to see exactly who that is. But we definitely have a two-lady battle out here right now in this girls 11 to 16. Early leaders making their way in around the beach for the first time, and sure enough, that is our early leader, our hole shot winner, Madison Casimir, as they work their way down to the finish line for the first time. Going to get a correct standing here from our timing and scoring, and I believe we have a big shakeup up front right here. Yeah, that's Lachlan Turner on that number 99 machine. Kylie Stallings on the 21. Anessa Ingersoll in that number 3 position, and Madison Casimir now in the number 4 ride. Landry Hazen rides in 5th. Number 6 position goes to Brooke Boland. Brighton Richards in that number 7 spot. Sienna Brown rides in 8th. Mackenzie Bricado comes through in 9th with Miley Lenny in the number 10 position.
Great battling here in this girls 11 to 16, and a returning name to Loretta Lynn's from the women's classes and girls classes, I guess, as far as that goes. If you look a little further back, Sarah Whitmore, welcome back to Loretta Lynn's. It's been a while since we've seen you here. You were saying I raced last race in 2006. The last time I was on the podium here, 2005. We're talking 15, 16 years ago, and here you are back.
Yeah, you're definitely kind of making me feel old, for sure.
Not meaning to do that.
But I am so happy to be back and watching the girls' class. The first year here I came was in '97, and there was only one women's class. I was 12 years old, racing an 80 before the extra 5 cc's, so a major disadvantage against the 252 strokes and 125. So then in '98, they added the women's class, and I was lucky enough to come down and win it that year. And that just kind of bump-started my whole career with the addition of this girls' class. So I'm such a huge fan of this class. I'm really excited to watch it out here.
What are you doing these days? Are you still involved in the motorcycling world?
Yeah, I'm actually a coach with the USMCA, and I'm going to school right now for psychology. And I'd kind of like to get into some sports psychology and work with riders so I could work with them on the track and off the track on the mental side of things. So
ding, 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 ding. This is what we need in the sport right there. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
It takes a lot of schooling. So.
Hey, I'm behind you the whole way.
Thank you.
Sarah, so glad to have you. You're going to be around all week, and I guess tonight at the Coaching Association's dinner that's going to be going on up at Loretta Lynn's, right?
Yes, I'll definitely be at the dinner, and promoting the USMCA. It's a really great thing trying to grow the sport, and I'm actually here with one of my old sponsors, Blue Star, who used to be really into women's racing, and they want to make a push in supporting women's motocross again. So I'm here covering for their website and their social media and watching the women's class. And we're only covering women's classes and the women that are racing the boys class too, which there's a few of those.
Yeah.
So, so it's kind of unique where we're just kind of ignoring the guys class and just supporting women.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And how about the advancement? I mean, you said there's 2 classes now, but I mean, across the board, we're seeing women's and girls class racing really start to elevate, not only in competition, but in numbers. We're seeing more and more ladies out these days racing.
Yeah, I mean the whole sport's growing, and it's great to see all the girls out here, and just really well spoken. I was very impressed on the podium yesterday with all their podium interviews and their smiles and everything. So it's the future is good for women's motocross.
It is. Stick around with us. Let's call this race together and see what's going on as we check in with Lakeland Turner, who's your early leader in this one, .292. Kylie Stallings, the 21 machine, is second. Anissa Ingersoll, a 2:21 lap time, puts her about 10 seconds back in third. Brooke Boland in the fourth place position on a gas. Your early leader and whole shot award winner, the number 10 of Madison Casimir, in the number 5 spot. Landry Hazen is 6th. Brighton Richards in 7th. Mackenzie Bercato is 8th. Sienna Brown, the 88, in 9th. And Lena Randolph rounds out your top 10. And looking down through this list of riders, there are some recognizable names in it, and there are some new names I think that we're seeing out there. So to me, that's pretty exciting. As far as lap times are concerned, Kylie Stallings, the fastest rider on the racetrack right now, the number 21 with a 2:15.127. She is your second place ride. She's actually less than 0.4 of a second faster than Lakeland Turner, who is your leader there at the end of lap number 1. But we got ourselves a battle. Now that we've got this sorted out here, we can start taking a look, and we've got a new leader, it looks like, the 21 of Stallings out front of that number 99 of Lakeland Turner as they make their way into the final turns here at Loretta Lynn's. And it is a new leader, but it ain't over yet. Stallings out front, Lakeland Turner in second, 1.034. And you can see you're actually elevating her pace, I think, heading into lap number 3 now, Sarah.
Yeah, I definitely see she's picked it up a whole second. They're doing this triple here. That's really impressive on these smaller bikes. And I know the track's way different than yesterday when the women raced, but their lap times are right up there in like the top 5 for the women's class on the bigger bikes. So that's really impressive, the pace that these girls on the smaller bikes are riding right now.
Brooke Boland in the number 3 spot on the gas, number 48. Anissa Ingersoll, the 16, is 4th, and 5th is now Landry Hazen. This is after 3 laps. Madison Casimir now back in 6th. Mackenzie Bercato in 7th. Brighton Richards in 8th. Lena Randolph in 9th, and Maylee Lena rounding out the top 10. Now, as we look at this list of riders coming into this one, I'm sure you've been following a little bit. Are you looking for anyone to be maybe a little to rise above the rest in this pack, or is this field just so evenly stacked that it's a matter of anybody's race at this time?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the lap times, the top 2, Stallings and Turner, kind of look like they're kind of a step above the rest of the competition right now. But then it's so tight between, from third on down. So it's really anybody's race, and it looks like the top 2 are going to give us a really exciting race. We don't really know who's going to come out on top.
But that very, very good point. Stallings with the advantage right now. It's just over a second, 1.034. She just made the pass on Turner coming into the completion of lap number 3, but Turner really seemed to wick it up a little bit. So as we wrap up lap number 4 here, we're going to see how Lakeland Turner was able to challenge Stallings after making that pass on her there on that 3rd lap of racing. Stallings, again, the fastest rider on the track with that 2:14.172, but I have to think Turner looked like she might have a little more juice to let loose out there in that 4th lap of racing. Here comes our leaders, and they are still basically nose to tail into the final turns here, Sarah, and they've got a little lap traffic ahead of them already, which this could create a little bit of an issue and make this race get even more exciting possibly.
Yeah, that's the one thing with the women's classes and the girls' class. You tend to run into a lot more lap traffic. The talent is so diverse. That's one more obstacle on the track. One year I got taken out actually by Dean Wilson's sister as I was lapping her. So I still came back and won the moto, but it was like, yeah, it's just there. The lappers are another obstacle, so you can't really complain. You just have to get around them. That's part of racing.
That is part of racing.
The problem is that lapper is a moving obstacle. Yeah. That's the problem. You're used to that other obstacle being in the same spot every lap, but every time, Sarah, you go left, so do they. You tell them to hold their line, and they think they're doing you a favor by moving out of the way, and then next thing you know, it's rubber to rubber.
Yeah, we were actually going around the billboard, and there was 5 of us going to the turn, Patterson, myself, and 3 lappers. And I was like, oh, I know Katrina. I can trust her. I followed her through the rut, and she went down.
Right.
And this was back before I married a trials rider, so I didn't really know how to wheelie. So I tried to wheelie over her bike, and I went down too.
Disaster.
Isn't it amazing how much trials can translate into other forms of motorcycle racing, though?
Yeah, it really can. We hope to have kids, and first thing we want to get them on a trials bike. Just the balance and the throttle control and the clutching. I was a sand rider, so my clutch control and my throttle control, it was very poor when I first got on a trials bike because I'm just used to wide open and slipping the clutch, and you can't really do that on a trials bike. So it definitely teaches you how to be smooth. All these techniques that carry over, and it's nice and mellow too.
Awesome. And I got to ask, do you have a social media page? Can people follow you? I'm sure that because you're getting so involved in this, you're going to be spearheading a lot in the near future, it sounds like.
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm swhitmore89. Or Swhitmore.
Swhitmore89, I like it. It works out. S. Whitmore or Swhitmore89, and that'll get you in touch with Sarah and the upcoming greatness as far as girls and women's class racing is concerned. Here doing coverage this week. What was the magazine again? Or the
website, it's Blue Star. So
Blue
it's
Star.
a women's clothing company. So supporting women's motocross.
I think that's awesome, and glad to see that bring in Blue Star, somebody outside the industry too. That's always a good thing. So 2-lap board is out. Kylie Stallings, Lakeland Turner, Landry Hazen, 1, 2, and 3. Megawatt, I'm going to head back down to the podium as you and Sarah take us through the closing moments of this one.
Yep, waning moments right now. Rodney headed down to the podium, having a lot of fun with Sarah up here in the tower right now. A lot of great memories. I got to tell you, inspiration to so many of these riders out here. Who were some of your inspirations? Listen, when we go back to original bad chicks that I called them in the day, Sue Fish, the flying fish, there she was. Before a women's class, really, thanks to her, some of the women's classes were started in different areas across the country, but she raced the guys every week. There wasn't a matter of being a woman racer. She's a racer like you. Anywhere you went, you would ride any class. It didn't matter during the week. You helped develop the organization of women's competition, of the championships and that type thing. But when you were growing up, during the week, Wednesday night, Thursday night, whatever, you'd go race just to race.
Yeah, I would only ride the women's class locally for an extra class,
Right.
more time on the bike, but yeah, I always encourage all the girls, go out there and race with the boys because, maybe you'll have one person to battle with in the women's class at a local race, but you'll have 10, 20 guys that you're battling with, and you always get better if you're racing with faster riders. So that's what I really think, that elevated my riding was racing against the guys.
And I even tell a lot of the youngsters, no matter what, you race that class up. When you're comfortable in this and that, you don't race back. We're going to get that extra year. We're going to stay back. Well, listen, you've already beat those guys, or you're running with them right now. You're going to be that same speed next year. Let's ride with somebody faster. Let's make the jump up. And you encourage everybody to do that as well.
Yeah, sandbagging really doesn't help you at all.
Not at all. Not in the least bit. And it doesn't help those that are learning to get faster either, because what it does, it just adds another level of maybe intimidation or fear or nerves to them because she won't get out of here. There's no reason to go. She keeps beating us every week. So 1 lap to go. The official word from Jeff Canfield, white flag is out. Don't have to run out on the deck this time. So now we know 1 lap to go in this one. And again, talking about some of our talent here, there are 25 girls here that can win.
Yeah.
There are legitimate 15 contenders here. 20 girls can get a start run up front. The talent's starting to get that deep. Pretty soon, it's just going to look like our 250 National Series where we had 6 races, 6 different winners,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was kind of saying in my article after practice day. I'm like, you really don't know. And with the 3 moto format, and the key and crashing, you never know what's going to happen, so you really can't call it before the race. That's why we race. It doesn't really matter if you had the fastest lap time in practice because that does not mean that you're going to win.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to that each and every week at the Nationals. Rob and I will start talking about lap times and how low is it going to go in this. Lap time is just that. It's a lap time. Okay, finishing positions, where is that? That's what pays the points and pays the money. You
Yes,
know?
exactly.
We can talk strategies and lap times all day, but it's that lap time on that last lap. Doesn't matter if it's 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's that position of where you're at.
You see a lot of people that can go fast for 1 or 2 laps, and then they're fading by the end of the moto. It's like, okay, well, if you can't go the full 20 minutes, then what's it matter if you can go 1 fast lap?
Exactly. Jeannie Carmichael told me years and years ago, Megawatt, listen, these kids come down here, they've got 20 minutes on their minds. They're used to going hard for 15 minutes, so now that they've stretched out 20 minutes, they're feeling pretty good. No. You got to keep that pace for 30 minutes. If the race is 20 minutes, you better be able to go 30.
That's what I always did. I would train 30-minute motos. In the WMX, we would only run 15 to 20. Here was only 20. But I wanted to make sure my last lap was just as strong.
Exactly. When we took a look at Drew Adams earlier, Evan Ferry, riders like that, believe me, maybe half a second to a second difference between lap 8 and lap 2.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it takes, the consistency and the ability to perform at that level the entire moto.
Yes.
And if it's a 10-lap race, you better be able to go that pace for 12 laps.
Exactly.
Well, looks like we're bringing this one to an end right now. Have we already sent our leaders through? No. Should be seeing Kylie here in just a moment. Should be working her way through as well. Be going to be making her way down to the podium. Going to hear about the race, the track conditions with Rodney, and I'm excited to hear their take on the conditions today,
yes.
on each other,
yes.
and how the race went down for sure.
I mean, Stallings and Turner had a really great battle at the beginning of this moto, but Stallings was able to pull out a pretty good lead by the end. So.
Absolutely, and it looks like the checker flag is out now, and Hazen coming through as well in that number 2 position. So really solidifying a good position here, moving in through the next 2 motos for championship. Now, Sarah, to me, I always draw that line about 5. Really, you need to be in that top 5 for these 3 motos. That needs to be your bad finish, really, in moto number 1, moto number 2. That 5 needs to be about as deep as you can go.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I always needed to land on the podium for my own my own personal good feelings, because I would always go like 1-1-3 or 3-1-1 or what. I'd always have that one, and my competition was so stiff that I couldn't afford to have anything worse than a 3rd.
And talk about your competition a little bit. You talk about JP, and you had some stiff competition, and y'all rode hard. Y'all tore jerseys, you swapped plastic. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Jessica and I had some really great battles down here, and we're pretty fierce competitors. And it would seem like almost every year it was either her or me coming out on the championship, but we were always swapping moto scores, and it always came down to the last moto. So it was always really intense. There was never any just can go out, relax, and cruise that last moto. So
no, there was never any cruising with y'all. And what was so crazy is it just kept bringing new names and new names and new names. We used to have to wait a couple years to get our next Sarah, and all of a sudden now, holy cow! As we mentioned, these are becoming household names by the dozen.
Yeah, it's really impressive, the amount of girls out here racing and their talent. I'm very, very impressed.
And I tell you, it's very interesting because it's a different podium with the girls. I'm here to tell you, it's a totally different podium, and I love it. We some of the guys will bite their tongues a little bit. They try. Listen, y'all bring it. I love it, man. We're going to lay it out there in the open for all to see.
Hey, and speaking of laying it out in the open for all to see, Kylie Stallings does just that here in Moto 1 of the girls 11 to 16. Puts her hands together for Moto 1 gold winner, Kylie Stallings. Kylie, excellent run you had out there, darling. And, man, once you got out front, it looks like you just pretty much put your own race on out there. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so I came into this moto with, I wanted to do good, really bad. I drew K-pick number 5, which was a shocker for me. But, yeah, I got a decent start. Came out maybe 3rd. So it was a good start to my moto. And I saw someone in front of me, so I just pushed it until I got in front of her. And then I don't know what happened, but I just tried to stay smooth. I didn't want to make too many mistakes and lose it, but that was a good moto.
It was a good moto. You look like you came in here very prepared for 2021.
Oh, yeah. My trainer, Robbie Rayner, has helped me out so much. I couldn't be here without him.
Well, he's done a great job. Who else would you like to say thanks to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my mom and dad, my trainer, Robbie Rayner, my mechanic, Mike Forkner, Fox, this gear, 2022 women's gear, so sick. We got Dunlop, Rob Fox from Dunlop. Tires hooked up great out there. Maxima, FMF, Sunstar, Ajax, and everybody else. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Alrighty, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Kylie Stallings taking the Moto 1 win here in the girls 11-16. And a little bit of a change up there at the end of the last lap as Landry Hazen will pick up Moto silver here, second place, as we bringing the number 90 of Landry Hazen on up. Landry, come on up. She picks up her silver medal. Landry, we'll let these riders take off real quick before we begin our conversation, but before you start your talking, I just want to say congratulations. Very good ride out there. A lot of stiff competition in this girls class. A former champion of the women's class, Sarah Whitmore, was up with us calling the racing, and she's very impressed with what you girls have to offer as far as the competition out there here in the 2021 season. But tell us a little bit about that one, man. You had yourself a good race. You got started off to a decent start. You settled into that third place position for quite a while, but that wasn't good enough for you, huh?
No, I wanted to keep pushing for the number 1 spot.
So you get into that number 2 position, so a good first moto it looks like for you, huh?
Yeah, I got 41st gate pick, so I was all the way outside, and my start was decent, but not good enough, so I had to push the whole moto, and I ended up working my way to second.
There you go. So anything stand out as far as this moto goes?
No, just the 41st gate pick start really threw me off in the beginning.
So it's just a blind fury right to the checkers then, right?
No, it was a good race. I had to push the whole time.
That's awesome. Well, good job for you, and looking like you got yourself in a great position for this championship. Who do you want to say thanks to?
I'd like to thank my mom, dad, and my brother for all the help they give me, and I'd like to thank Moto X for keeping me in shape and getting me ready for this race, and Elias and 151 Films for getting me hooked up with a sweet gear, Brap, TCD, and just everyone else. Thank you.
Alrighty, there she is, second place position. Landry Hazen, ladies and gentlemen, on the number 90. And as we go for Moto Bronze, put your hands together for our third place position finisher once again, Lakeland Turner, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Lakeland going to be grabbing her bronze medal. Where is Lakeland? Here she comes. Come on, Lakeland. Put a big smile on your face. You just got third place here at Loretta Lynn's. You look so very disappointed right now. What's going on?
Disappointed in me?
Honey, I'm going to tell you right now, do not be disappointed. There are so many people that would love to be standing where you're at right now. You're doing something that a lot of people only dream of. So be proud of yourself. Be proud of this third place because you got hunger, you got desire, and you're going to be fighting for more this year, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tell me, you want to talk about this one, or you just want to go back right now?
Go back.
Okay, well, who do you want to say thanks to?
Dad, Mom, Carson City Motorsports, Zero Limits, Ethel Vision, Factory Connection, and everybody else.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for Lakeland Turner. She's hungry. She wants this one, and she's going to be fighting for it. And we got one.